I'm working class. I think that whenever that word gets brought up, there's always a lot of debate about what it actually means. I think sometimes people can get quite protective over the word, and I understand why. I think a lot of people claim to be from a working class background, but then when you meet them, you realise that their parents are actors and they're probably just like slightly embarrassed or out of touch with their own poshness. And I think it's interesting because there's a lot of classism within society, but actually it's often the posh people who co-opt working class aesthetics and pretend that they're not. So I've never been one to gatekeep language people use. I think that people find the labels that feel right for them. But I also feel that when you work in theatre as a working class person, it almost feels impossible to escape that word and the fact that you will be perceived that way. For me, it's never felt like a word that I've had to claim in those spaces. It just feels like a word that people automatically put on you because of the way that I speak, or because I am an actor who never trained at drama school, for example. It's interesting because I'm actually quite articulate, and I've always said that to other working class people, like to the rest of my family, I probably sound quite posh, but whenever I walk into theatre spaces as an actor, I always get told that I sound common. So I think when you're surrounded by posh people or people who are middle class in theatre spaces, sometimes they can struggle with your communication style. I've had experiences where people have told me that I'm too direct, or they misunderstand me or my intentions, because I think it goes against some rule of like Britishness, which is to like be polite and as passive aggressive as possible at all times. But I actually think the way that I work and the way that I communicate is really efficient. I say what I mean and I mean what I say. I've never understood why that efficiency can't also coexist with kindness. Like, I actually think being direct is probably the kind thing to do. I'm also interested in how this intersects with being a woman of trans experience, who's also like diagnosed with autism and is on the spectrum like myself. Because I think sometimes people project onto you more when you are a woman, and they are more microaggressive towards you because you're trans, and assume that that means that you're a diva or like you're difficult to work with or whatever. And obviously this can affect your employability, because if people don't like you or they think that you don't like them, you probably won't work with them again, even if the quality of your work is really good and like you're the right person for the job. It suddenly feels like it stops being about the craft of the work and it becomes more about massaging people's egos. And I think that also like links to a bigger issue in terms of how actors and artists in general are perceived. I think that we often get viewed as like hobbyists who need to get a real job, rather than like workers with rights who make art like for an audience.
I would say growing up working class, funding chases the right voices, while the broken education system and interviews favour neurotypical game players who snag more opportunities, even if work happens differently. We all hustle multiple gigs, code switch endlessly, our stories twisted into poverty porn.
So I often see working class stereotypes reinforced in theatre. It seems like there's still a narrow understanding and definition of what working class stories look like. Our stories are often addressed quite directly, even bluntly, in theatre and screen, rather than through subtext or theme, which sort of denies working class characters the right to a vivid internal life. Stories that focus on family or that have a domestic setting are often viewed as being like a soap rather than, for example, evoking Chekhov.
The best way to explain how I feel as a European theatre director here in London is on an example of my personal story. After finishing Rose Bruford in 2016, I've been offered a job in Germany, Georgia and Czech Republic. And then I came back here and I've applied to more than 60 to 80 different positions, and I've been invited to 2 job interviews. And on one of which I've been told, you're not suitable for this position, please don't apply again unless you've got 3 professional theatre credits here in the UK. We don't have time to teach you how the UK theatre works. And with the confidence that I've got right now, I'd probably say it's me who should teach you, not the other way around. But at the time it didn't work, and so I worked again abroad. Then in 2022, unfortunately, the full-scale invasion of Ukraine happened, and I was one of the few theatrical directors here in London with an expertise on Ukrainian theatre, and I've been invited to direct productions here. And so I've seen in my life over 2,000 different productions. I've directed now more than a dozen professional theatre productions here in London, but I still don't tick all the boxes when I apply for jobs. I still am considered as an outsider. I know I will make it, it's just really tough.
So I'm often asked to talk about class, and the thing that comes to my brain is the philosopher Wittgenstein, who posited a theory that if a lion could speak English and you could speak English, we wouldn't understand each other. And the reason that Wittgenstein says that is because the lion and the human's frame of reference, the lived experiences are so vastly different that you start to associate words and objects and feelings and emotions in completely different ways. So you wouldn't be able to communicate in a kind of useful way. And I say that because often in theatre spaces, very early on at least anyway, I felt like a lion. I didn't understand people's frame of references, I didn't understand their lived experience, and they didn't understand my frame of reference and lived experience. And that would be fine because we're human and we can connect, but often it was like a shortcut for people. We went to the same school, we had the same upbringing, we had a pony, whatever it was. Because you're a minority in that group that didn't have those things, you're looking for connection, shorthand connection. And I often couldn't find it. However, there is a positive to that, because I do feel like our lived experience, I feel like the way that we see the world, the way that we experience itself, really plays into who we are as artists. And that just needs to be acknowledged. It can help our dramaturgy, it can help the way that we look at plays, the way that we direct plays, the way that we act in plays, the way that we write plays. Those lived experiences are the most important part of you, and they can make you a much better theatre professional or theatre artist if you get the opportunity to. So I guess my provocation to you all is to embrace that inner lion and find other lions so that we can continue to prosper in our pride.